Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Next Level Her podcast. I'm your girl, Pauline, and this is the space where real journeys, real growth, and real you come to life. Today's topic is: do your values align? I know I've alluded to me being an entrepreneur, leaving my 9 to 5 to pursue the entrepreneurial dream, right? And during that time, I've had a lot of great experiences. And in the beginning, you're hustling. You're just going through life. You're doing what you got to do to succeed in this entrepreneurial world, right? Because if you're like me, I don't want to go back to the 9 to 5. So I have to make sure I got to do what I need to do on my end to to secure the entrepreneurial journey. So I remember a couple of years ago, I was pretty much getting to a place to where I was just feeling very unsettled. And I am someone who grew up just in communities. I grew up in church. I always, had a very deep relationship with God. But in the midst of me pursuing entrepreneurship, I started feeling just some type of I started placing distance in my relationship with God, not on purpose, but life just happens. You get busy, you get the hustling and grinding. So there were distances placed in my relationship with God as well relationship with friends. And as I continued to, push through, I started to I, I started to dislike what I was doing, and I started questioning whether I should be doing this. And what I eventually realized, and I came to this realization going to a woman's event. Before that event, I was overwhelmed. I was dealing with guilt. I had already started making decisions because I was like, okay, enough is enough. I need to start prioritizing my relationship with God. I need to start prioritizing what's important to me, or this business is going to take me out. And so I started making little changes. I did schedule a vacation, which was so needed. I scheduled a vacation and I started making small changes, but I felt like I was still sinking. I was barely surviving. I felt like I was sinking. And as a mompreneur, a wife, uh, all these hats that we entrepreneurs wear, it can be overwhelming. So I was still sinking, but I wasn't, I wasn't all the way down. I wasn't out of oxygen, but I was still sinking, and I didn't know. Nothing clicked to me. I had some realizations, but I didn't have that aha moment to kind of help me out of this sinking place, right? So as I alluded to, I went to a woman's event, and during the session, she started talking about your personal values. And this is a business event now. She started talking about personal values, and we did this exercise that we had to go through and just, identify some of the things that we value. And as I'm going through this list, it took me a minute because I hadn't really sat down and thought about my values. I knew deep down inside what they were, but I didn't really, take a moment to really reflect. So as I did this exercise along with the other women in the room, my eyes started tearing up. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I am in a room full of strangers and I'm on the verge of breaking down. Oh my goodness. Because as I read through the different words, and I just saw clearly how out of alignment I was, and how the things that did matter to me had taken a back seat, they were pretty much non existent in my life. And the truth just hit me really hard because I realized, man, I am not operating in the way I need to. And what I realized that my values, my core values, were out of alignment of what I was doing in business. And it's nothing negative, like as far as I wasn't doing anything out of integrity or anything like that. But when it came to the things I valued, like traveling, my relationship with God, connection, community, love, loyalty, all those things, when it came to to those things, it was put on a back burner. I couldn't think of, I mean, before this event, I had a trip scheduled, but prior to that, I couldn't think of a time when I took a much needed vacation. I couldn't think of the last time I hung out with a friend. I couldn't think the last time I sat down and lovingly and sit down with my kids and not be so distracted by my phone and everything else I have to do in business. It's like when we got together, it was me always on my phone, always doing something. And so that mom guilt was hitting me hard because I want to be an excellent mom. I want to do well. I want to raise my kids right. I want to be an amazing wife. I want to be an amazing friend. I want to be an amazing follower of Christ. And so I felt like I was failing in all of those areas because my business had taken priority. And so, with me sitting there realizing that I've been out of alignment, and it helped me to see, well, no wonder you're overwhelmed. No wonder you're unhappy. No wonder you want to throw this business in the trash. No wonder fill in the blank. It just hit me so hard because I realized, man, it is hard to operate a business or even operate in life when your values are out of alignment with what you're doing on a daily basis. I do believe that I am living out my purpose in my business, but I also believe that at the time I was not operating at my best self. I was neglecting myself. I wasn't doing the things that I needed to do for myself. I was busy people pleasing, trying to meet the needs of every client and not paying attention to my needs. And that's where overwhelm came in. And so I was just really hitting burnout bad, real bad, y'all. I was hitting burnout so bad. And I've hit burnout before, but I've patched it up. You know how you think you find a solution, you patch it up, you put the band-aid over it, and you keep moving. But you did not deal with the deep down issues. So I just kept moving. And so this time I got to a place where I was like, I cannot go another day until I do something about this. And so I was able to share with the ladies there, and one young lady who is a mindset coach. She helps women with overcoming mom guilt and overwhelm, and they're just really helping them to show up their best selves. And we got together, and she has been able to help me. But y'all, I realize how much when you're out of alignment, how crippled you are in life, in your personal life, in your professional life. You are crippled, okay, when you are out of alignment. And it made it difficult for me to really move how God intended me to move. I was trying to stay above water, but I was sinking. I wasn't thriving. And I was tired of trying to survive. And so one of the first things I had to do was get back in alignment with my values. Now, how that looks for everyone is going to be different. And how it looked for each value that I had looked different. Like the process, the steps, and everything looked different. But I had to get back in alignment. And that was an awakening call for me because I the importance of being in alignment was just so clear to me. And I was able to make the decision to go back to church consistently, to get back into community. And I'll talk more about that in the next episode. But I was able to come up with plan to really focus on meeting my needs mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, not neglecting those things and not neglecting time with my kids, being intentional about spending time with family, my husband, my kids, friends, siblings, and so forth. So I had to be intentional. I had to come up with a process that worked for me. So, and I made a commitment to stay in prayer, to read my Bible. Do I always succeed? No. There are times I miss, I fall short, but I know the goal. I know what I need to do, and I fight to get to meet to make sure I'm doing those things, and I have accountability as well. So it has been amazing. And I just shared my story with you guys because I want you to see that sometimes when we're not doing as well as we hope, when we're feeling weighed down, when we're feeling burdened, overwhelmed, or whatever it may be, you might be out of an alignment. You might be out of alignment. So I would really encourage you to go back and visit that. Who is the person you want to become? Anytime you feel like, man, I'm off, start thinking about, okay, who do I want to become? And start thinking about, what does the next level her look like? Because if you have a hard time identifying your values, it's because you don't have a clear picture of who you want to become. You do not know what the next level her look like. So if you can start looking at those things, looking at, okay, who do I want to become? What do I want to represent? What does the next level of me look like? That will help you identify your values. And then once you identify your values, you're able to start finding ways to apply those to make sure that you are in alignment with your values. I know last week I talked about setting your intentions. And I hope you've been working on it because, baby, second quarter is practically here. All right. So I hope you really took the time to really set your intentions and to figure out what is your goal for second, third, and fourth quarter. But as you set those intentions, do they align with your values or vision? I want you to think about that. We want to be intentional, yes. Being intentional is awesome, but you have to make sure that your intentions are aligning with your values and your vision. You don't want to be setting intentions that don't align because you're going to find yourself in the same place. So, do they align? If they don't, go back to the drawing board because you want those intentions that you are setting, you want that to keep you operating in your values and in your vision and in your purpose. In order to stay motivated along the way, you have to identify the values that are most important to you. And guess what? Values will shift over time. It will change. Not like one week you're valuing this, the next week you're valuing something else. But as you evolve, as your perspective change about things, as you grow, because we're, always in a growing state, as you grow, some values might be tweaked a little bit, some things might change a little bit, but the core of you stays the same, right? Some things will shift, and that's okay. I want you to know that it's okay if there's a shift. As long as shifting for the better, as long as shifting to take you to the next level, her, as long as shifting for you to continue to become who God created you to be, right? So it's okay because there are some things that were valuable to me 10 years ago that's not as valuable to me now, you know? So as you set those intentions, think about those values. Identify them. And I would encourage you to at least once a year go back and reevaluate your values. What's important to you? It's like a assessment that you would do every year just to see, how am I doing? How am I doing in this area? And so when you do that, you're able to come up with a plan. You're able to, just check in with yourself to make sure you are operating in your purpose and that you're not out of alignment with your values or purpose or mission, right? So I would just really encourage you, if you don't know how to figure out your values, how to determine what's important to you. Because sometimes for us, we got to think hard, because if you just shout out, just a couple of things here and there, yes, we know family is important. We know this, we know that, but go deeper. Reflect. I want to encourage you to visualize your future next her. Visualize your future next level her. How does she look? What sounds bring her joy? What does she sound like? What does she look like? What do you see? What does she feel? What does she hear consistently? Think about those. If you're having a hard time, think. Just kind of picture you 5 years from now, 10 years from now. What do you see? Now, I'm going to be honest. Sometimes it's hard to think that far about what you want to see in yourself. But if you start doing that, then you will start recognizing the values, the things that are important to you. And then you can start pouring into that next level her now. If you need to create a vision board with images and words that represent your values, do so. Sometimes we need to see it. And so let this sit in this moment. Do that exercise a couple of times if you need to, just so you can really go deep and really see yourself for who you are. Go deep. Sit in it. And I promise you, the more you practice it, the more you'll be able to identify, see for yourself, and then be able to identify those values, right? And keep in mind, the next level of her doesn't just happen. It is created. Your next level will look like what you put in today. What you pour in yourself today, it is going to show up in the next level of her. So pour into her now. Feed her soul now. And remember, your next level, the next level of her doesn't just happen. It is created. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode on the Next Level Her podcast. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Connect with me on social media or leave me a comment or review. I'd really appreciate it. Okay? Until next time, keep growing, keep glowing, and keep becoming her. Talk soon.